Okay, let's dive in. The world today, it's just totally flooded with information. How do you even begin to sort through it all?
It's overwhelming, isn't it?
Yeah. So, our job here on the deep dive is basically to help you cut through that noise. We grab the really essential stuff, give you that informed edge, without all the overload.
Exactly. Think of us as guides. We find those key nuggets buried in whatever material you're dealing with. We do the sifting so you get straight to what really matters.
And today we're digging into something super relatable, especially if you're, in college or university right now. Academic challenges.
Hmm.
We're talking time management crunch, hitting those unexpected walls in your classes, dealing with stuff like academic probation, and yeah, even facing failure.
And these things are really common. They're not some kind of unique personal failing. Happens to a lot of people.
Totally. Our listener actually sent over a whole bunch of sources, articles, university guides, some research, all looking at these exact issues.
So our mission for this deep dive is to pull out the absolute core insights from all that material.
Mm.
We want to help you understand why these things happen, what the actual consequences look like, and maybe most importantly, how you can effectively turn things around.
Yeah, it's about moving past that panic or, frustration and getting armed with some practical knowledge. Let's really explore how you can not just survive these academic hurdles, but actually build some resilience and, well, thrive.
Okay, so the sources kind of jump right in by acknowledging just how widespread this is. Academic struggles,
Hmm.
super common. They're really a normal part of the journey for like a significant number of students.
And one way schools formally deal with this is through academic probation. Now, what's really crucial to get here, based on the material, is that it's not really meant as a punishment.
Right.
It's more like a formal signal, a warning system, maybe, saying, hey, you need to boost your academic standing to meet the requirements.
And it happens to so many people. One study mentioned something like 20% of first-year students at four-year colleges end up on academic probation.
Yeah. Wow, 20%.
Yeah. So if you've gotten that notice, you are definitely not alone. It's a really common point where students kind of intersect with these difficulties.
Okay, so being on probation, it usually means the university expects certain things from you, right?
Exactly. We saw examples where schools require you to participate in academic support programs. Sometimes it might mean you can't do certain non-academic things.
Like that Arizona State University example they mentioned,
Yeah.
where students have to take a specific course.
Yeah, focused on mindset, strategies, making those crucial connections for success.
Which, naturally, leads us to the big question, why? Why do students hit these hurdles in the first place?
Well, the material points to a whole mix of factors. It's almost never just one thing, usually more like a perfect storm of different pressures.
Right, it's layered. So one basic issue that comes up is just preparation. The sheer amount of work, the expectations in college, they're just, well, dramatically different from high school. You might have cruised through before, but college, it demands this whole new level of independence, self-direction.
And that ties right into behavior and choices.
Yeah.
Things like, skipping classes regularly. That's a big red flag.
Sure.
But it's also deeper. Like not engaging with the material on your own, not doing the reading or the research just because the professor isn't checking up on you like a
But
high school teacher might.
yeah, exams are different too. It's not just spitting back facts.
Exactly. They require you to apply the knowledge. And you only really get that by, well, doing the work yourself.
Making poor decisions also comes up. Getting sidetracked, maybe letting emotions kind of override clear thinking when it comes to study habits or even just showing up.
And time and organization struggles are huge.
Yeah.
Absolutely central. It's not always about literally not having enough hours in the day,
Right.
but mismanaging the time you do have, overcommitting maybe. Too many activities, social stuff, and just, a general lack of planning that leads to wasted time, inefficient ways of working.
Then there's the whole motivation piece, which is complex.
Definitely.
Sometimes it's just a lack of motivation or maybe losing it along the way. Perhaps taking the whole education thing for granted. Or, just losing interest in your major once you get into it, realizing it's not what you thought.
And we absolutely cannot ignore personal well-being. The sources are super clear on this. Neglecting your mental health,
Phew.
anxiety, depression, stress, burnout, it
Yeah.
just tanks your ability to focus and be productive. Financial worries too, personal stuff, emotional issues,
Yeah,
even the basics like getting enough sleep and decent nutrition, they're foundational.
totally. If those aren't met, your brain just doesn't work as well, right? And school becomes this massive uphill battle.
Yeah.
A really critical point. The material stress is waiting too long to ask for help.
Oh yeah, That's a big one.
That instinct to, like, protect your pride, suffer in silence instead of reaching out early, that lost time just makes catching up so much harder.
And then, of course, there can be actual academic skill gaps.
Mm.
Maybe reading or writing skills weren't quite strong enough coming out of high school, or you struggled to really understand assignments, or you just lack effective ways to study, or maybe misunderstand instructions. These aren't like character flaws. They're skills that need work.
Right. And finally, attitude can play a part too. That false sense of security from getting good grades easily in high school. College demands a level of personal responsibility that catches people off guard.
Mm-hmm. Unrealistic ideas about how much work you can handle alongside activities, and just the anxiety itself, that fear of failing, it can almost become a self-fulfilling thing.
So you put all these potential causes together.
And you get this picture of a student kind of losing control over their academic life, and the quality of their work starts to slide.
Okay, so what happens if you don't manage to, get things back on track? The consequences start piling up.
Yeah, they escalate. Failing a class. That has immediate direct effects. Usually means a 0 on your transcript.
Ouch.
Yeah, and that drags your GPA down significantly.
Right.
We saw mentions it could drop you below a 1.0 or 0.7, depending on the school scale. Pretty serious.
And you've basically paid tuition for a class you get 0 credit for.
Exactly. Doesn't count towards graduation. And often, even if you squeak by with like a D, that grade might not even meet the minimum requirement for your major anyway.
Okay. And if you're already on academic probation and things don't improve?
Then a major risk is losing financial aid. The Pell Grant was mentioned as an example.
Right.
You have to maintain what they call satisfactory academic progresses to stay eligible.
Right. Is there good news there?
Yeah, usually. The good news is you typically get that eligibility back once your academic standing improves again.
Okay. What about probation showing up on your record? Does that happen?
It's interesting. Mostly, no. It typically doesn't show up on your official transcript for most schools. But some schools do note it. It's usually more of a thing if you're planning on applying to grad school later on, rather than for most job applications.
Gotcha. And the most serious consequence?
That would be academic dismissal. That's when the university basically says you can't re-enroll because you haven't met the minimum GPA requirements, usually after several warnings and probation periods.
Right. That's the final step.
It's worth just a quick mention about dropping a class versus failing it.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
Generally speaking, if you see you're heading for a definite fail and the deadline hasn't passed, dropping is usually the better move.
Why is that?
Well, you might get some tuition money back, you avoid that F grade on your transcript, it lessens the GPA hit, and it reduces the risk to your financial aid compared to failing. But you really have to watch those drop deadlines. They're usually pretty firm.
Okay, so understanding the problems, the consequences, that's step 1. Step 2, the really vital part, is actually doing something about it, taking action.
Yes. And the material offers a ton of strategies for turning things around.
Where do you start?
It all begins with self-assessment. You absolutely have to figure out why you're struggling.
Yeah.
Your behavior. It's telling a story. Got to ask yourself those tough questions.
Like what?
Like, are you constantly frustrated? Are you skipping classes? Always tired? Is it just one subject messing you up? Or are grades slipping everywhere?
Digging deeper too, right? Like, do you really get the material?
Yeah.
Or outside things interfering?
Exactly. And how are you actually studying? Just rereading notes?
Yeah.
Or are you actively testing yourself, trying to recall information? When are you studying? How? You have to be really honest.
Then, the next big step, seeking support.
Critically important. The sources really emphasize this. Asking for help is not weakness. It's actually a sign of courage, of taking responsibility.
It's a skill in itself, really. Problem solving, communication.
Totally. And it genuinely improves performance. Plus, it's not just for students who are really bombing. Even top students use these resources.
Okay, so who do you go to? Professors first.
Professors are key. They're the experts in the subject. How to approach them effectively. Find the right time, office hours are perfect, or schedule an appointment.
Don't just ambush them after class.
Right. Prepare specific questions. Bring your syllabus, your notes, the assignment you're struggling with. Communicate clearly, respectfully. Listen, take notes during the meeting, and definitely follow up afterwards. A quick thank you email, maybe an update later on how you're doing.
Good tips. What about academic advisors?
Advisors are invaluable. They guide you through the whole university system. Academics, course choices, sometimes even personal stuff or career paths. They connect you to resources.
So understand their role. They guide, but you decide.
Exactly. Meet with them regularly, at least once a semester is a good idea. Talk about your goals, your plans, lean on their expertise for navigating course requirements, majors, all that.
And don't forget all those other support services the university offers, right? The ones your tuition pays for.
Absolutely. Tutoring centers, writing centers, mentoring programs, workshops on study skills, time management. They exist specifically to help you succeed. Use them.
Okay, so besides getting help, one of the biggest areas for change, according to the sources, is how you manage your time and how you study.
Oh, massively impactful.
Yeah.
It's not just about forcing yourself to be disciplined. It's about building systems that actually work for you.
A key idea seems to be that good time management isn't just about magically finding more time.
Right.
It's about making the time you do have purposeful.
Exactly. That's where things like using a daily schedule template or time blocking come in, literally blocking out chunks of time for specific tasks. Apparently, even people like Elon Musk and Bill Gates use versions of this.
Huh. So step one is just figuring out where your time is actually going now.
Often, yeah, just tracking it for a few days can be eye-opening.
Another big tip, breaking down huge tasks.
Yes. That massive research paper or that giant textbook chapter, chunk it down. Don't think I have to write this 20-page paper. Think, okay, today I'm just going to write 500 words, or I'll read 20 pages in the next half hour.
Makes it feel less terrifying.
Way less overwhelming, and you actually see progress, which builds momentum.
And being realistic about timing, the sources mention something called the planning fallacy.
Ah, yeah, that's our tendency to be, well, wildly optimistic about how long things will take us. Totally. So the insight, add a buffer. Always. If you think it'll take an hour, schedule 90 minutes. It's not being negative. It's just being realistic about, life happening.
Work with your energy levels too, right? Schedule the tough stuff for when you're naturally most alert.
Absolutely. And importantly, take breaks. Your brain isn't designed for hours and hours of nonstop concentration. Taking a real break after maybe 90 minutes of focused work. That's often when your body and brain signal they need it.
And guard that focus time like a hawk.
Fiercely. The sources hammer this home. Remove distractions. Phone off, or at least notifications off. Close those extra browser tabs. Log out of social media, whatever it takes.
And the whole multitasking thing, it's mostly a myth for focused work.
Pretty much, yeah. Research shows trying to juggle multiple complex tasks at once is actually less productive because your brain has these switching costs every time you shift focus. Focusing intensely on one thing, way more efficient, like potentially hundreds of % more.
Wow. Okay. Building routines helps too.
Definitely. Consistent morning or evening routines can set the stage for successful study blocks later. Simple habits reduce the number of decisions you have to make each day, freeing up mental energy.
And that eat that frog idea.
Yeah. Tackle your biggest, ugliest, most important task first thing in the morning when your willpower and focus are generally highest. Get it out of the way.
Makes sense. Okay, what about making the actual studying part less painful?
Well, beyond chunking the material down, creating a dedicated study space is big.
Right, like Pavlov's dog, but for studying.
Kinda. Make it organized, minimal distractions. Think of it as your quiet zone. Put up a do not disturb sign if you need to. Maybe even try studying standing up sometimes. Keep tempting things out of sight.
And develop a consistent study schedule. Treat it like an appointment.
Exactly. And here's a cool tip from the sources. Try scheduling your fun, your downtime, your social stuff first. Then build your study schedule around those commitments.
Oh, interesting. So it doesn't feel like study is taking over your whole life.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It makes the work feel less like a prison sentence and more like a planned part of your week that fits around the things you enjoy.
Prioritize tasks within study time, too.
Yeah, use a to-do list or planner. Set clear, achievable goals for each session. Not just study chemistry, but review Chapter 3 notes and do 5 practice problems. Know realistically how long you can focus. Maybe 45 minutes, maybe 80 minutes, then plan for a short break. Even just 2 focus sessions a day can make a huge difference.
And trying to make it, dare I say, rewarding?
Yeah, why not? The material suggests things like gamification. Give yourself points, set little challenges, set up actual rewards, maybe a small snack after finishing a tough section, or a bigger treat, like watching a movie after finishing a major assignment.
Anything else?
Alternate subjects to keep your brain fresh. Try to connect what you're learning to your real-life interests makes it feel more relevant. And maybe share your accomplishments.
Yeah.
Tell a friend. Find an accountability partner. That external support can be really motivating.
And through all this, the sources keep coming back to balance, right? Preventing burnout.
Absolutely crucial. Leisure time, hobbies, exercise, seeing friends. These aren't wasted time. They actually boost your overall productivity and well-being in the long run. And again, sleep and nutrition.
Huh.
Non-negotiable foundations for learning effectively.
Okay, let's talk motivation. Because that seems like the trickiest piece.
It really is complex. It's not just about wanting it enough. The material kind of breaks it down into key questions students might be asking themselves, consciously or not. Like, first, can I actually do this? This digs into things like, are there real skill gaps? A learning disability, maybe. Mental health struggles getting in the way. Or just a lack of confidence, a belief that you're not good at something.
So encouraging a growth mindset there, the idea that abilities aren't fixed.
Exactly. Believing you can develop the skills is key. Then the next question is, do I want to do this?
Ah, the value proposition.
Right. Is the task or the goal actually valuable to you?
Yeah.
Can you make the learning feel meaningful? Maybe by understanding why it matters for your future career, or seeing how it applies in the real world. Can you inject some enjoyment into the learning process itself? Maybe find peers who are also engaged.
And the third question.
What is the cost? Students are always weighing academics against other things that are genuinely important to them. Friends, hobbies, gaming, just resting.
So don't just dismiss those other things.
Right. You got to build trust by acknowledging that those things have value too. And be careful with just throwing external rewards at the problem. Building that internal drive, that intrinsic motivation and praising effort is often much more powerful long term.
Okay, so for someone specifically on academic probation, what are the concrete steps to get off it?
It really comes back to taking action based on the university's requirements. Maintain that required GPA, both for the current term and your overall GPA. Meet the deadlines and timelines the school sets, and fulfill whatever specific requirements they have, like meeting regularly with your advisor, maybe creating and following a formal success plan.
Sometimes, though, you just have to face the math, don't you?
Unfortunately, yes. There can be a point in the semester where your grade is so low, it's literally impossible to pass no matter how well you do on remaining assignments or exams.
That's a tough spot.
It is. And that's when talking immediately to your professor is crucial. Is there any possibility of extra credit? Any flexibility at all? And talking to your advisor right away, too. You need to understand your university's specific rules about failing, repeating a course, or withdrawing late.
It happens more than people think, right? Failing and retaking.
Oh, yeah. The material mentioned an example, like
Right.
at Ohio State, where something like 10% of undergrads retake a class they previously failed each year. It's definitely not unusual.
Okay, but what if you're in that situation, maybe failing, and you find you just lack the motivation to even try to fix it?
That's a really tough but important place to be honest about. The sources suggest acknowledging that directly, okay, I'm failing this class and right now I just don't have the internal drive to turn it around, is actually better than making excuses or blaming others.
And then figure out the why behind that lack of motivation.
Exactly. Is it total burnout? Does the subject feel completely irrelevant to your life or goals? Is it maybe a sign of a deeper mental health issue that needs attention? Because the sources consistently stress, your mental health is always, always more important than any single grade. Always.
Which leads us nicely into dealing with failure itself, because, let's face it, setbacks happen.
They absolutely do. And the reality is failure is kind of a necessary, integral part of learning and growing.
The sources had an interesting take on reframing failure, didn't they?
Yeah, basically saying, look, it feels bad, obviously. It's unpleasant, but it's also totally normal and is actually essential for achieving success down the road. Often it's the fear of failure that holds us back more than the failure itself. The goal is to change how you think about it, your relationship with it.
So how do you cope when it happens?
Some key strategies came up. First, give yourself permission to actually feel the emotions. The disappointment, the frustration, maybe sadness or anger. Label those feelings. Allow yourself some time to process them. Remind yourself that everyone, literally everyone, experiences setbacks.
And practice self-compassion.
Huge. Be kind and understanding towards yourself the way you'd be towards a friend going through the same thing. Accept that you're human. You make mistakes. This isn't about making excuses. It's about building resilience, not beating yourself up endlessly.
Then, crucially, reflect and adopt that growth mindset we talked about.
Yes. Ask yourself, okay, what can I actually learn from this experience? What useful information can I take away to do things differently next time? It's that shift from a fixed mindset thinking, I failed, therefore I am a failure, to a growth mindset thinking, okay, I failed at this task. What haven't I figured out yet?
And finally, don't just get stuck there. Move forward.
Right. Don't dwell on it forever. Revisit your goals. Based on what you just learned from that failure, Create a concrete plan for the future. Use those SMART goals we mentioned: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, time-bound. Use planning tools. Make sure your new plan still aligns with what really matters to you, your values.
Because failure doesn't define you.
Exactly. It's how you respond to it that matters. The real failure, you could argue, isn't falling down. It's not being able or willing to look honestly at why you fell, learn from it, and get yourself back up again.
Okay, so let's quickly recap the core takeaways from this deep dive into academic challenges. First, understand that struggles are common, they have complex roots, it's not just you.
Right. Then take responsibility.
Hmm.
Honestly assess your specific situation, what's really going on.
Then implement practical, evidence-based strategies for things like time management and studying. Find what works with your brain and your life, not against it.
And crucially, don't go it alone. Seek out support. Talk to your professors, your advisors. Use those campus services like tutoring or writing centers. It's a sign of strength.
Recognize and address the different layers of motivation, the can I, do I want to, and what's the cost questions.
And maybe most importantly, learn to cope with setbacks like failure. Reframe them as chances to learn, practice self-compassion, and keep moving forward.
Facing these kinds of difficulties and actively working through them, it builds such essential skills, doesn't it? Self-awareness, planning, asking for help, resilience.
Incredibly valuable skills that go way beyond just getting a degree. They set you up for life.
Absolutely. This has been a really insightful exploration of navigating academic difficulties. So here's a final thought for you, the listener, to carry forward from all this.
These lessons learned from struggling and succeeding in school. Understanding the root causes of a problem, creating a solid plan, asking for help when you need it, bouncing back from failure. How can you intentionally take those same principles and apply them to challenges you face in other areas of your life, your career, your relationships, your personal goals?
How can you turn every setback, big or small, into an opportunity for real growth and resilience?